and a very pleasant good day to you wherever you may be. Today on this special Cooperstown Bound episode, we're doing something completely different and non-baseball related, even though we're
baseball's back.
Thrilled that baseball is back, yes. Yeah. So today we figured we'd do a little shout out to definitely one of Gabriel's favorite YouTube channels. Yeah, probably one of my favorite as well, I would say. Yeah. So do you want to talk about it?
Okay, so we're talking about Dude Perfect. And they are one of the most one of the most popular YouTube channels of the past 5 to 10 years. And you guys probably know them, so go ahead and look them up and subscribe to them. But also subscribe to us and and also comment down below if you agree with this. So what we're going to be doing today is on their series Overtime, they have a segment called Wheel Unfortunate. And on Wheel Unfortunate, there's one guy who gets drawn out of a hat, and they have to do a certain punishment. And we're gonna be ranking every single punishment from best. None of them are very good, but you know what we mean. From best to worst. So ones that we think wouldn't be all that bad to down, which would be the worst.
And the ones at the top of the list that we're going to start out with are actually things that we probably wouldn't even mind doing. We thought that they would just be fun, that they really sounded fun. Well, a couple of them anyway, maybe. And then they get progressively worse from there. Yep. So we know you guys will agree to disagree on these, and be sure to check out all the Dude Perfect Overtime videos. There's a total of 28 punishments that we rank on here. So
there's 33 videos, but some they didn't do Wheel Unfortunate, and others they had opposite days. So
yep. So do you want to start?
Oh, well, okay. Well, first we're gonna say how we sorted these. So we put them into 4 categories when we looked through every single one. We put them in not bad, meh, bad, and horrible. So the ones in horrible are gonna be farther down the list, and some of them don't really match up to where we put them, but we're not going to show you guys the list anyway, so.
Yep. Okay.
So, cool. Starting it off, number 28, which should be the one that we would most mind not to do, and that is The Day as Gene Simmons. That is where Garrett dressed up as Gene Simmons, and he walked around in public, and he got compliments, and people thought it was kind of cool. So, yeah, I don't think that would be terrible. I mean, some people wanted to take pictures with him, so yeah.
Yeah, I think this would actually kind of be fun. I mean, people were coming up to him and being like, yeah, Gene Simmons, and he had a lot of great interactions with people. Of course, I'm sure they didn't show everything. Maybe there was somebody that wasn't a Kiss fan that didn't appreciate it that much, but we didn't think this would be that bad. Yeah. So next on the list,
number 27.
27 is the 24 Hours in a Diner. This one was also Garrett.
Yes.
I think, right? Yeah. And we just felt one of the things was he didn't actually end up having to spend 24 hours there. I think he was only in the diner for 6 or 7 hours because they put in a stipulation that every waffle that he ate or he eats while he's there, he gets to take 1 hour off of his time. Yeah. So it really didn't end up being that bad.
He just got to eat a lot of waffles.
Got to eat a whole bunch of waffles and just kind of sit around in a diner, which honestly really isn't all that bad.
As long as the waffles are good.
Yeah. All right. So number 26, Gabriel?
Yep, number 26. So this was Tyler who did this one. This is milk a cow straight in your mouth. This was influenced by him. He doesn't think it's all that bad. I think it'd be pretty gross, and also this wasn't a part of the challenge. They had no idea that this was going to happen, but he also had to lay in fire ants and wasps.
That wasn't part of it though.
But he didn't get stung.
Yeah, they were on Chip and Johanna Gaines' farm.
In Texas.
So in Texas, out in Waco. So I didn't think this was that bad because I grew up way out in the country, surrounded by farms in upstate New York, and I've actually, not that I recommend this at all, so do not try this at home. But I actually drank.
You have cows at your home.
Yeah, I drank raw milk, from a cow. I had cow milk right into my hand, and I drank raw goat's milk because I was a kid, and that's what kids do in the country. They're like, "Oh, I dare you to try it." Okay, I will.
Fine.
All right, so
number 25.
25, we felt like it would just kind of be more annoying than anything because it would be an entire day of time used up. But it was the fly to Wisconsin for no reason, and this is one of the twins that did
Corey.
this. Yeah,
it
was Corey. And literally no reason. So the rule was he had to take a flight from Texas to Wisconsin and just kind of walk out of the airport and take a deep breath of Wisconsin air and then come back. And
although that's kind of a reason to go.
It is kind of a reason to go.
But
and ultimately, you know, he actually was wearing something on his head too, which we think he might have gotten at the airport. But
well, he got rid of it because that'd be a reason for going.
Right. So we didn't feel like this was all that bad. I mean, you're just on 2 flights during the day. It's probably kind of boring.
And also, you could, if you've never been to Wisconsin, you could say that you went to a new state.
Yeah, exactly. So, all right. Number 24.
Okay, so number 24. This one is not that bad. This was done by Kobe, and it is the fat suit in a battle video. So what he had to do was he basically put on a fat suit, which took about 5 hours, and he had to wear it in the next Dude Perfect battle video, which was Soapbox Car Battle, which Kobe actually ended up winning. So it really didn't do anything to him, and he looked kind of funny in it. Yeah. And I think he had a really good time. So
yeah, he called it like his chubby suit or his chubby self, and
he got a chubby dubby.
He did look like he had a great time, and he won the challenge. And so yeah, we didn't feel like this was that bad. I think the main thing would be sitting there in a chair for 3 or 4 hours while all the makeup gets put on his face and everything.
Yeah.
Let's see, what do we have? Number 23. Again, we didn't feel like this was all that bad. It would be really hot depending on what time of year you have to do this, but it was running a mile in a fat suit. Or no, not a fat suit. Yeah, that was the one before. Run a mile as a mascot. And he was just wearing this big, like, heavy mascot outfit. And he did it. I mean, he ran a mile. Garrett seems like he's in pretty good shape because he did it pretty easily. He was just sweaty. But
he just passed he passed a guy.
Passing actual joggers as he was doing this, wearing like this 30-pound mascot suit. So it was pretty impressive.
And it kind of depends on where you are because they did it in October and they live in Texas in October, which would obviously be a lot hotter if you did it in like maybe New York in October.
Mm-hmm. All right, so
depends on where you are.
What do we have next? Oh, 22.
So this is...
this one was controversial.
This was done by one of the DP editors, Will. This is the only time a DP editor actually did a consequence, but he had to do a cardboard cutout date. And so he had to take a cardboard cutout of Taylor Swift and then go to a fancy restaurant and act like she was an actual living person. And it was probably the funniest Wheel Unfortunate ever because Ty was talking through the microphone telling Will to do stuff, and Will would like feed her a piece of cake and it would just drop down. It was funny, and the people around him had like literally no idea what he was doing.
We just felt like this, you know, kind of like a day as Gene Simmons would just be something to generate conversation, and I think most people would probably take it pretty well and think it was funny. So we didn't think it was that bad. Number 21, get French toasted.
This is like the start of the meh.
The meh ones, yeah. And we felt like this really isn't that bad. I mean, I guess basically one of the twins had to lay in a...
Kobe.
Yeah, Kobe had to lay in a pool, and they just poured like milk and eggs and cinnamon all over him. They poured it into the pool, and then he had to roll around in it.
And then he had to be covered in bread.
They put bread all over him, and then they kind of covered that and stuff. So the whole thing, actually didn't take very long, I don't think.
Well, it took like 20 minutes because it had to heat up.
And the whole thing is you get dirty, and that's it. We felt like this was mad because you might smell like, you know, milk for a while afterward or something.
French toast smells good.
Probably have to take a couple showers, so not that bad. All right, what is number 20?
Number 20
Gabriel?
Is drive until you run out of gas.
So very
this was done
here.
by, I'm pretty sure this was done by Kobe. So
I think so.
Yeah, it was, because this was the one where in like overtime 12 where he couldn't talk because he brought that over budget pillow and Cool Not Cool. So yeah, this was his punishment. He had to drive until he ran out of gas, which this one is kind of meh because it kind of depends on where you are. Because if you're really low on gas, then it should be kind of easy, and especially if you live in like a city area, because there's gas stations all over the place. But he went into like the middle. He had like almost a full tank of gas, and he went into the middle of nowhere in Texas, and he had to walk like 5 miles to the nearest gas station. So
yeah, could
be
a real pain. How they did it, we felt like it was, you know, we're kind of starting to get into some things now that are a little more annoying. Although the next one really isn't that bad either. And we ranked this one kind of toward the middle of the list. Number 19 is swim like a merman, or swim as a merman, and this was Cody.
This was where
This was tall guy.
They were in Bass Pro Shops, and he had to put on like a mermaid costume and then swim with the fishes in the big fish tank. This would really just be embarrassing, kind of, but he had a good time with it.
Yeah, I mean, and it would depend, I guess, on your skill level of a swimmer. You know, we know that Cody from videos way back, because he had to swim a mile in one of their early videos, and he actually did a really good job with that. So he's obviously a strong swimmer.
He floated for a mile.
And so he did a nice job at this. I think we put this kind of a little more toward the middle because it really just depends on your skill level as a swimmer. So. Yeah. All right, so now I think we're kind of starting to get into the ones that are a little more annoying.
This is like the middle.
Yeah,
okay,
and this one I think is the first one that's kind of could be really annoying or
Number
embarrassing.
18 is also done by Cody, and this was the level 10 spray tan in the first ever overtime. So he just had a full-on spray tan, like the worst spray tan you can get. That'd be terrible, honestly. Yeah. Because it would be so hard to get off, I feel like, if it was that powerful.
Yeah, and we felt, you know, those things can last for like a week or two, but he would get, obviously, as it starts to come off and you shower, you're going to get streaky or you're going to get the splotchiness of it, and it's just going to look really bad for a few days as it starts to wear off. So 17, this was Ty, and he had to do Nearly Naked and Afraid. He basically had to go out to the woods, although we're not really sure how.
It was just like by a lake.
Yeah, it wasn't really that far out in the wilderness. It was probably somewhere right outside of suburbia, and camp for a night with like, he was just wearing like what, shorts, and that's about it.
Yeah, but they gave him, it was like only 10 degrees out. It was kind of a weird day for Texas, and also, I mean, this one wasn't as bad if he only had shorts to survive the whole night. But they gave him like a jacket because they didn't want him to die, and also they put like a can of beans in his backpack. Yeah, so he had
a few things, and he kind of made himself a shelter and stuff, and probably a pretty uncomfortable night, but you know, he had some equipment with him to be okay. So
number 16. So this is probably one of the most like polarizing ones. Some people
will explain.
Some people wouldn't think it was terrible, but some people would think it was like bad. But this was Corey's and everything. But okay, so this was eat dog food like cereal. For me, this would be apparently you've had dog food.
Yes, I will admit on camera that I have tried dog food before. Okay, not the nasty weird. Not the nasty soft like canned kind, but just like the regular, you know, hard.
Yeah,
kind
that's what he had.
The crunchy kind that comes in a bag.
For me, this would be like probably more down the list, like worse, because I've never had dog food, and I think it smells terrible because I have a dog myself, and I have to you know, pour his food out every once in a while, and it smells terrible.
And I mean, and I grew up with a dog. I didn't sit there and eat dog food on a regular basis, but you know, you're a kid and you see this every day, and you're feeding your dog, and you're like, oh, I wonder what this tastes like, and you just take a little bite of it.
Who would do that?
A curious kid.
You're weird.
Yeah, you're weird for not doing it.
What?
So, anyway, all right. So
number
that one was
15.
Polarizing. Number 15.
This is Sleep in a Sandy Bed.
Yes.
Which is done by Corey.
Yeah, and we kind of feel like this would obviously be an annoying night, but we felt like this really wasn't all that bad. And for any of you, you know, obviously we live in Florida and we're close to beaches.
Well, we're not sleeping in sand.
We're not sleeping in sand, but we've all had those, you know, moments like coming off of a beach, like your shorts are sandy or you've got really sandy feet or something, and you have that feeling until you go home and get in the shower and clean yourself off.
Yeah.
You know, and thinking about being that way all night would be really annoying, but we also felt like, you know, I think because we're used to being around sand that it wasn't all that bad.
They called it one of the worst punishments, but...
Yeah, but
I don't think it was terrible.
Not as bad. So, 14, this one was also kind of controversial, we'll explain, but go ahead, Gabriel.
This was the car wash on the hood, which was in one of the very first overtimes. This was also done by Corey. So what he had to do was... they were going through like a car wash, like a big one, where you surrounded by all the like the water and all that stuff and the soap and
the brushes.
Yeah, he had to lay on the hood of the car, so outside the car while it was going through a car wash. For me, this would probably be like more painful than anything because you'd probably get. I mean, he had goggles, but the soap would find a way to still get in my eyes, and also the like flapper things would probably hurt.
Yeah, we felt like this is one of the first ones that's kind of like dangerous. This is possibly one of the most dangerous ones that they ever did, and I'm sure that they did it in a way where it was a really tightly controlled environment. So,
this probably is like the most dangerous.
Yeah,
one.
looking at the list.
One.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, so 13 we felt like it's really not that bad at all, and I grew up fishing, so I was kind of around this stuff. But 13 is stink bait waders, and this was one of the twins. Kobe, not Corey for once, amazingly. Yeah. And they were in a Bass Pro Shop, and he had to have like long rubber waders on, which for those of you that don't know, it's like wearing overalls, but they're made out of rubber, so they keep all the water out, but conversely they also hold everything in. And so he had to kind of open up the waders, and they just poured
a bunch of catfish bait, which
these really nasty smelling bait.
Disgusting.
Yes, and when you buy it, they come in these really tightly sealed containers so that you can't smell it.
Well, you probably still can,
but it reeks. So we felt like the worst thing with this is that you might actually smell like bait for a couple days afterward until you wash, yourself like 4 or 5 times.
Yeah.
So, but overall, probably not the worst.
Okay. Number 12. This is where they went to SoFi Stadium, and Corey had to touch every single seat in the whole stadium. For me, I mean, you love walking, so this might not be as bad for you.
I do, but there's a key point to this.
So what Corey had to do was, when he was on the top levels, the seats were really far down from each other, so he had to like bend down like that to touch the seats. And for a tall guy like you, you'd have to bend down a lot.
I mean, I would say, and Corey, sorry if you ever see this video and we get this wrong, but I'd say Corey's maybe like 5'9" or so.
Yeah, maybe 5'10".
Yeah,
you're 6'6".
I'm 6'6", so for me that would be. Like my back would be killing me after like the first section of seats. I can't imagine doing a whole stadium. So
yeah.
So a couple of us, so Gabriel and my girlfriend Heather felt like this really wouldn't be that bad. Because they're also shorter. Sorry, yeah, Heather's a little shorter. So, and Gabriel's 5'4".
Yeah.
So anyway, but I felt like it would be bad.
I would probably have to bend. I might just have to go like this.
Yeah. All right. So the next one, also controversial.
Number 11.
I feel like this is actually worse than Gabriel and Heather felt.
Okay, so
11 is. Do you want to?
Okay, so this is ketchup popsicle and deep fried crickets. So he thinks that this is only this bad because the ketchup popsicle and the deep fried crickets wouldn't be that bad.
I have no problem with the deep fried crickets. I've actually eaten a grasshopper and a cricket in a lollipop before,
what?
And I've had chocolate covered crickets, and which were obviously not alive, but they were fine, and they actually don't taste like much of anything. But and the lollipop was when I was in college. They sold them like in our college store as a joke.
What?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, they were they're weird. It's a college thing, but it's the ketchup popsicle that gets me. I'm like, I cannot imagine eating that, between like the texture and the coldness and everything, and then it tasting like ketchup. I honestly think that would make
probably wouldn't be as bad as a Hot Pocket smoothie, but
no, probably not. Yeah, that's
but
true.
It's still pretty bad.
Pretty bad.
Okay, number 10, cracking the top 10. This is eat a whole banana.
Yeah.
Oh, and by the way, the ketchup popsicle and deep fried crickets was Corey,
mm-hmm.
and eat a whole banana is also Corey. So
yeah, of course, Corey's like 2/3 of this list.
You might not think that eating a whole banana is too terribly bad, but you have to eat the peel too.
Yeah, and that's and if you've ever sort of accidentally had a little bit of a peel or like one of the strings in your mouth,
it's salty.
They can be salty. They can taste really bitter, and we just feel like if you take a look at like a whole peel, that would be really difficult. All right, number 9, and we know this might be controversial with some of you, and I will say that Gabriel and I do not own a cat. But number 9 is own a cat, and this was Garrett, right?
Yep. Okay, so I'm allergic to cats.
Yeah.
And so.
And I used to be, and I kind of grew out of it.
I'm still allergic to cats. I'm not like terribly allergic because there's like a neighborhood cat that lives next to me that I always go out and pet. But okay, so this would be. I don't really have any experience with this, so I don't really know.
Yeah, I mean, I think
my allergies would be.
We put it here because like it's a financial commitment because it's not cheap to take care of a pet properly.
Buy all the toys, food,
and then you've got a cat in your house, and Gabriel's allergic. So those are the main reasons why we put it so far down the list.
If you like cats and you have a cat, this would probably be like the best one to get.
Yeah.
This might be good to get. Okay.
Right. Number 8. Probably one of the more annoying things.
This would be. I would hate this so much. I would never go to a theme park again. This would be stand in lines at a theme park and not ride the rides. So Garrett had to stand in lines at a theme park that was Six Flags, which was one of the most popular theme parks in America, and the lines were like an hour long, and all the 4 other guys had fast passes, so they got to skip through the whole line. And what he had to do was, when he got to the end, he had to just walk through the roller coaster and then walk back out.
Yeah, didn't get to ride anything for an entire day. Bad. Just absolutely ridiculous.
While all the other guys were getting like ice cream and stuffed animals and.
Yeah. All right, number 7 was again one of the twins.
This is painful.
And this was get your armpits waxed or waxed pits. To me, honestly, I think I'm like, okay, I'll share this as well. I'm unbelievably ticklish, so the worst part of this, yes, thank you. So the worst part of this for me would be not like the actual pulling off of the wax, although that would be incredibly painful, but it would be getting it put on. Like, I can't get, if somebody even like looks at my armpit wrong, I'm like flinching and stuff, and I feel like I would just accidentally punch the person in the face who was putting the wax on. So
this would be painful. Corey actually drew blood.
Yeah, well, you get hairs pulled out by the follicles, they're going to bleed a little bit. So,
I don't know what that a follicle is, but whatever. Okay, so, I think this wouldn't be too terrible for me, but for me, I have some hair under there, but she'd probably be pulling off some skin. For me,
you'll have more hair soon.
I'm not terribly ticklish. I am pretty. When this guy tries to tickle me, his fingers are sharp. So
yeah, it's true. I tickle hard.
It's not terrible. So
yep.
That'd be number 7.
Okay, number 6.
We're getting into the very, very bad stuff.
Number 6, I think, would be really bad because of all of the places that this could be hitting you as you're sleeping.
By the way, Wax Pits was Corey, and this is also Corey.
This is, of course, it's Corey. Number 6 is Good Night Sleep, and this is the one where Corey literally had to spend a night and a night's inn dressed as a knight in a suit of armor, and he did the full thing. He came in on a horse and everything else. We don't know exactly what they ended up doing with the horse. But,
it was probably in one of the guys' like ranches or something.
This probably wasn't even lower on the list because we felt like they went kind of easy on him. They allowed him to take his helmet off.
But he'd be poked, and he had to brush his teeth with the armor, and he had to check in with the armor on that. And he also had to sleep, which you'd be poked.
You'd be in some serious pain by the next morning. That would hurt, no doubt, and probably not sleep at all.
You'd also be really warm because that's probably really hot too. Okay.
All right, number 5.
Number 5. So for me, this was probably the worst one, but for.
Really? This was the worst?
For you, yeah. Because this was the worst haircut ever, which was done by Kobe. Okay,
I could probably live with this.
This is
for like a month if I had to.
He sponge shave your head, which wouldn't be as bad as this, but for this he had to get like the old man haircut where he got all of this off, and it was just the sides that was still on.
Yeah, basically, they gave him the classic like bald guy haircut. Totally bald on the top and just have the sides left. And I mean, it looked ridiculous on him because obviously he's a young guy, he has a full head of hair and everything. And I don't know, this would be really bad, but you could also just wear a hat, for a month. Gabriel couldn't because he's not allowed to wear hats in school, but I guess I could wear a hat for a month. And I'm definitely getting a little thin up here anyway, so I don't know, maybe it would be an improvement.
Okay, so number 4. This was done by Kobe. This is really only this bad because of how much money it would be. This was tow your own car.
Yeah, and we felt like, the overall premise of this wasn't bad. So you have to just drive out somewhere and then get your car towed back.
But he had to pay $400.
Yeah, and it was the whole $400 thing. None of these other ones really cost any serious money to the victim. And we felt like this was pretty far down because, it would take quite a while. You'd be out in the middle of nowhere waiting for a tow truck. and then on top of that, it's going to be like $300 or $400 or $500. Like, that's kind of ridiculous. So,
yeah, so you're basically paying that much money for no reason.
All right, Gabriel, what's number 3?
Number 3.
Now we're getting to
the worst.
Our top 3, what we feel are the worst. We know you guys will probably, again, agree to disagree, but these are just fun. So what's number 3?
Lay in a box of snakes. This was done by Corey.
Yep. I'm not, and I'm not really that afraid of snakes. I actually had a pet snake once when I was in college for a short time. So snakes don't really bother me. Gabriel, how do you feel?
I'm not either, but like I've like put a snake around my neck before, and it's really like slimy and slithery. And to be in a box of like 11 or 12, that'd be like so weird.
And I think we kind of decided that it's definitely different than when you just go to like a zoo or something and they let you hold a snake, because you're more in control of it there.
But then you just have to lay down and like just not do anything.
But yes, the difference between that and letting the snakes just go wherever they want, you know, and potentially like even try to like go in your ear or your nostril or something, that would be the really weird part.
Yeah.
All right.
Number 2. The second worst one. This was done by Corey, and this is shave your eyebrows.
Yeah, and I know some of you guys might be like, "Oh, that's really not that bad," but just watch the video and look at how ridiculous he looks.
They did not cool after, and some of the guys gave him reds just because he looked terrible.
Yeah, and I mean, think about, you know, for a guy too. To me, it's pretty odd. Like, you could pencil in your eyebrows, or he could draw his eyebrows in.
That'd look bad, though.
But they mentioned in the video, like, your eyebrows take between 6 and 14 weeks to grow back.
Or it was 4 and 6. I'm pretty sure it was 4 and 16.
Yeah, it was something like that. So anyway, yes, thank you for correcting me.
1 to 4 months.
Yeah, so crazy. And you could pencil in your eyebrows, but then again, like,
if you messed up, it would look terrible.
People notice when you pencil in your eyes. So it's just, it would just not be a good thing all the way around. All right, so I'll let Gabriel give the number 1.
Number 1, the worst one. Now, for some people, this might not be that bad, because for kids like me, I'll probably need it in a couple of years. But for adults to get it, they look ridiculous, and it also costs the whole time. This is get braces.
Yeah, and you know, and we're not saying that if you are an adult with braces, like, you're gonna look ridiculous. That's not at all. But just, you know, if you sort of just randomly had to do this as part of a bet or something, it would be really bad.
This wouldn't be terrible for me, because I'm in the age when most people get braces.
Yeah, but I think, you know, for me as a 44-year-old, it would definitely be a little different if I just suddenly showed up with braces one day. We've kind of figured, you know, obviously the look of it, but then also for some people, but then also the potential pain, because braces can really hurt as well, and then just the pain of or the you know, not having a fun time, you know, having to eat food differently and just having to think about everything that you do, you know, like in this area of your body, like doing that differently could be really difficult. So we felt, and I gotta say, this was pretty close. Like, we had a hard time deciding between snakes, eyebrows, and braces. And we know you guys might feel differently. Like, if you have a fear of bananas, maybe eating a whole banana might be number 1 on your list. Or, you know, if you're afraid of Gene Simmons, maybe being Gene Simmons for a day would be number 1 on your list. No, I don't know. But anyway, do you have anything more to add?
No.
Okay. Well, we really hope you've enjoyed this different video. And again, a shout out to Dude Perfect. Gabriel's actually, I'm going with him as well, but we're actually getting to see the Dude Perfect summer tour this year as it comes through our home area of Tampa, which we're really excited about. So we hope you guys have enjoyed this. Definitely check out the Dude Perfect videos if you never have before. They're great entertainment. And we will see you again soon. Be well and be healthy.